Hello everyone, my name is Vivin Abram and in today's video we'll be talking about electrostatics of conductors. Basically we'll be talking about conductors in this video. We'll be talking about the properties that are exhibited by the conductors when the situation is electrostatic. Now when I say electrostatic, that means whatever the charge that is there in the conductor, when those charges are not moving, then what are the properties exhibited by your conductor. So that is what we will be talking about in this particular video. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So let's start with the basic idea, that is your conductors and insulator. Now we know that conductors are those materials which have your mobile charge carriers, right? On the other hand, insulators are those materials which do not have any mobile charge carrier, right? Okay, so in your metallic conductors, these mobile charge carriers are your electrons. So electrons are those charge carriers, right? So we know that in a metal, the outermost shell will be containing your electrons, and we call them valence electron also. Obviously they part away from their atom and become free to move. Obviously the outermost shell electrons are not as strongly attracted by the nucleus, so obviously they part away from their atom and they are free to roam around inside your conductor, right? Now one important thing that you have to understand here is that these electrons that we are talking about, that these free electrons, they are actually free to move, but they do not have enough energy to get out of your conductor, right? They can move inside your conductor, but they cannot go out of the conductor, right? So that's what it's written. These electrons are free to move inside the conductor, but it is not allowed to leave the conductor. So these electrons are not allowed to leave the conductor, right? So these are some basics which we already know, and with that, let's talk about some of the properties that are exhibited by your conductors when it is in electrostatic conditions, right? Okay, so inside, first property, that is inside conductor electrostatic field is zero. Okay, that is the first property, that if you have a conductor, right, so inside the conductor the value of E is 0, that is electrostatic field is 0. Now that is, let's try to understand that. Let's say I have this conductor, right? So let's say this is a neutral conductor, right? Okay, so when I say neutral conductor, that means it has equal number of positive charges as well as equal number of negative charges. That's why we can say the overall conductor is neutral, right? Okay, so let's say it has 5 positive charges, 1 2 3 4 and 5, and it has 5 negative charges, 1 2 3 4 5. So it has 5 positive and 5 negative charges, and let's say I give some external electric field to it. I'm providing some external electric field to it. Alright, so let's say, let me call E external. So I have given this some external electric field. Now the moment I give this conductor an external electric field, what is going to happen? Obviously these charges that we see, this positive and these negative charges, these positive charges are going to experience a force in the direction of the electric field, yes or no? On the other hand, these negative charges are going to experience a force in the direction opposite to that of your electric field. I hope you guys can understand, right? So what is going to happen? Let's say in the next scenario, this is going to happen. So this was your conductor, so all the negative charges will come on the left side of the conductor, then all the positive charges will accumulate at the right side of the conductor. So this is your external electric field. Let's say this is your external electric field. I hope you guys can see E external, right? Okay, great. So on the left side you will have a negative charge density, and on the right side you will have a positive charge density. Now we know that from positive to negative, there is an electric field, right? So obviously you guys can see here there will be an electric field inside of your conductor because of the positive and negative charge density which is created with the help of your external electric field, right? So we call this internal electric field as your E induced. Now this is the electric field which is being induced because of the external electric field. Now in initial cases, so whenever we talk about initial time, right, so initial time your E external will always be greater than your E induced. Is that a yes or no? Obviously E external field will be always greater than your E, induced electric field, right? Obviously at that time what is going to happen there, if there is any kind of positive charge, that positive charge will go towards the right hand side. If there is any negative charge, this negative charge is going to go towards the left hand side because of the external electric field. Now after some time there will be this time when your E external will be equal to your E induced electric field. So whenever this happens, this is what we call as your static situation. Static situation, right? So why I'm saying it is as your static situation, because now if you put any charge inside, now that charge is not going to move because there is no electric field inside. Because what is going to happen, E external has the same intensity of that of your E induced, right? So E external will cancel out with the E induced electric field, right? So because of that I can simply say, so this conductor E will be 0 inside. I hope you guys can understand, right? So this situation is what we call as an electrostatic situation. So in electrostatic situation, your electrostatic field inside will be 0. There will be no electric field inside. Now that is provided the situation should be your static situation, right? So the external electric field must cancel out with the induced electric field, right? So whenever that happens, the electric field inside is 0, and that is stated by the first property. The first property says that inside conductor electrostatic field is 0. Electrostatic field, right? That is electric field in the static situation will be equal to 0. So that is the property of conductor. This is how we define our conductor. So inside your conductor the value of electric field is 0 in static situation. I hope that is understandable. Great. Let's move on to the second property. The second property states that at the surface of a charged conductor, electrostatic field must be normal to the surface at every point. And again we are talking about electrostatic field, right? So electrostatic field, that means your charges must not move, right? So if you have this charge conductor, let me just draw this charge conductor, right? So let's say I have this conductor, and let's say this is positively charged, let's say. So I have this positively charged conductor here, right? I hope you guys can see that, right? So according to our property, it is saying that electrostatic field must be normal to the surface at every point. That means your electrostatic field, obviously it's a positive charge, so obviously electric field will be going out. Now it should be out in such a way that it should always be perpendicular with respect to the surface. That means if I draw a surface here, it will always give me a value of 90 degree, right? So that is what it is saying, right? I hope you guys can see. At each and every point, electric field should always leave the surface perpendicularly, right? Okay, let's try to understand this furthermore. Let's say it is not moving perpendicularly. Let's say it is moving at some angle theta. Let's say it is moving obliquely, right? Let's say, okay, all right, it is moving obliquely. Let's say it is making an angle of theta with the surface, right? So if it is moving obliquely, then obviously it will be having two components here. I can very nicely make two components here. One component will be your perpendicular one, which we'll call E. This is your E. This is your E, E sine of theta, right? And one component will be E cos of theta. Now the E cos of theta is your tangential component, right? It will be tangential to the surface of your, you guys can see here, it is tangential component, right? So if it is tangential component, right, so along the surface there is a value of electric field. I hope you guys can understand. Along the surface there is the value of this electric field. Now because of this electric field value, you guys can see there is this positive charge. This positive charge is going to experience a force in the direction of the electric field. I hope you guys can understand that. So because of that, what is going to happen? This positive charge will move in the direction of electric field, right? And what will happen to this positive charge? This positive charge which feel the repulsion, this will move furthermore, right? So because of that, all these charges will start moving. I hope you guys can understand. All these charges will start moving, resulting in some kind of current of your positive charge in this particular situation. I hope you guys can understand, right? Now you have to understand the charges are now moving. Situation is not electrostatic because your charges are now moving, right? Which is not what we expected, right? So the according to our property, the property is saying that electrostatic field must be normal, right? So this simply means that it cannot have a tangential component along that tangential, or a component along the surface of your conductor, because the moment it has a tangential component, or or a component along the surface, what is happening? The charges are starting to move, right? So this clearly says that your electric, so it does not have, right? That means I can simply write it here, E cos theta must be equal to 0. Yes or no? It does not, it should not have a tangential component, right? So E cos theta is actually equal to 0. Now you have to understand the value of E at the surface is not 0, because obviously this is a charged conductor. It must be having some value, right? So that means the value of cos theta must be 0, right? So and we know that theta for cos theta is only 0 when the value of theta is actually 90. That is, cos 90 is the scenario when your cos theta is actually 0. That means at every point, you guys have to understand, that means at every point, let's say this is my conductor and obviously this is charge, so the electric field lines must always pass perpendicularly. I hope you guys can understand that, right? It should always go perpendicularly. Is that a yes or no? I hope you guys can understand this. Yes, great. It must always go perpendicularly at all the points, right? The angle is 90. The angle is 90 with the surface. I hope you guys can understand. Is that a yes or no? This was your second property. Alright, let's move on to the third property. The third property says the interior of a conductor can have no excess charge in the static situation. Obviously, so we are talking about static situation here. Now static situation means, obviously, it means when your E external is actually equal to your E induced, right? When this situation happens. So let's, for a time being, let's say that I somehow can inject my charges inside. Somehow, let's say, for understanding sake, let's say I can inject my electrons inside this conductor, right? So let me just inject some of the charges, right? So yeah, so I have injected some positive and negative charges here, right? So obviously what is going to happen, obviously I will provide it with some external electric field, right? E external electric field, right? So obviously because of this provision of, because I am providing it with some external electric field, what is going to happen? So all the negative charges will be coming here, all the positive charges will come here, right? I hope you guys can understand. Now these additional charges which I have provided, so these positive charges again will go to the right hand side of the conductor, and the negative charges will go to the left hand side of the conductor, and hence making it again a static situation. I hope you guys can understand, right? So again static situation happens. So all the charges that I'm giving, it's actually going to the surface here. Can you guys see that, right? Let's say you inject more charges here. So what is going to happen, right? Because of this external electric field, it will experience force and will move towards the surface of the conductor. I hope you guys can understand. So this clearly states that the interior of the conductor cannot have excess charge. So obviously interior of the conductor will not be having any kind of charge, and actually you can prove it with Gauss law also. You can actually simply take a Gaussian surface here. Take any Gaussian surface. Let's say this is my Gaussian surface, right? And I can apply Gauss law for it, right? Gauss law is integration over your closed surface. E dA is actually equals to Q total inside your Gaussian surface divided by epsilon naught. Is that a yes or no? I hope that is understandable. Yes, great. Now you have to understand, we already know that in electrostatic situation the value of electric field inside is actually 0. If the value of electric field inside is 0, then automatically the q total that is inside a Gaussian surface automatically comes out to be 0, and you can do it for entire this region. So the value comes out to be the net charge that is inside your Gaussian surface comes out to be 0, and this clearly says that interior of the conductor can have no excess charge. I hope that is understandable, right? Great. Let's move on to the fourth property. The fourth property says that, okay, electrostatic potential is constant throughout the volume of a conductor and has the same value as inside or on the surface, right? Now this is something which you have to understand here. Let's say I have this conductor, right? Now you have to understand inside this conductor the value of electric field is 0. The value of electric field is actually 0. Okay, great. So let's say I somehow brought this, you know, Q0 charge. Q0 is my test charge, so I have this Q0 charge, test charge. I'm going to move this Q0 charge inside at different places. Let's say I move it to your first place, then I move it to your second place, then I move it to your third place, then I move it to your fourth place, and then I move it at your fifth place, right? Fifth place at the surface, right? So obviously if I talk about what is the potential when I'm moving my Q0 charge from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and to 5, so I'm moving this Q0 charge towards my 1, then towards my 2, towards my third position, towards my fourth position, towards my fifth position. Now somebody asked, what is the potential of your first position, what is the potential of your second position, what is the potential for your third position, what is the potential for your fourth position, what is the potential for your fifth one? The answer is the potential will be same. Now why I'm saying same? Because obviously when I'm moving my Q0 charge to your first position or your second position or your third position or your fourth or the fifth position, I will not feel any resistance, because there is no electric field here. The value of electric field is actually 0. There is no resistance here, right? So if there is no resistance, the work done will be 0. Basically you guys can see what is the value of potential. How you find out potential? Potential is simply given as, or you can also write it here, work done by the applied force is actually equal to which charge you're moving multiplied by V final minus V initial. Is that a yes or no? Obviously let's say I'm moving my charge from first potential to your second potential, right? Now I can clearly say the work done by the applied force for doing that is actually 0. It's actually 0, right? So that is equal. Now obviously my Q0 charge will be having some value, right? So I can simply write V final minus V initial, or I can simply say V final is actually equals to V initial point, or you can write it V final is your V2 and V initial is your V1, or I can simply write it here V2 is actually equals to V1. Is that a yes or no? Because work done by the applied force is actually 0 in moving from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 or 4 to 5. So hence I can simply say potential at 1 is actually equal to potential at 2, it's actually equal to potential at 3, is actually equal to potential at 4, and equal to potential at 5. So be it inside or be it on the surface, the value of potential is same throughout, right? Or I can simply say that my conductor acts as a equipotential surface, right? So it has same potential throughout the surface. I hope you guys can understand that. Yes, great. Let's move on to our next property. The next property says, the fifth property says, the electric field at the surface of a charged conductor. Okay, now you have to find out electric field at the surface of a charged conductor, right? Now this is something which we can actually find out with the help of Gauss law, right? Now how we can find out? Let's say I want to find out electric field at a very close point, let's say at this point P. Now this P point is very close to my surface, right? Now how I'm going to find out? I'm going to assume a Gaussian surface here, and this Gaussian surface will be a pill, a cylindrical pill. I hope you guys can see that. So it's actually a cylindrical pill. Is that a yes or no? It's a cylindrical pill. So this is my Gaussian surface. We call it pill box, right? Okay, great. So I can actually see my pill box has three surfaces. One, I'll call this surface 1. Then I have this curved surface. Let me use different pen. I have this curved surface, call it surface number 2. Then back I have this third surface, let me call it surface number 3. Is that a yes or no? Right? So obviously I can apply Gauss law for that Gaussian surface, right? So I can simply write it here. Let's write it here. integration over the entire closed Gaussian surface is given as E dot dA is equals to the total charge that is inside your Gaussian surface divided by epsilon naught. Now in order to find out the total charge inside your Gaussian surface, you guys can see the total charge is actually the charge that is there at the surface. I hope you guys can see that. So obviously I can, this green portion, how much charge that green portion will be having, that is the total charge, right? So let's assume that I have sigma, that is charge density. This is charge per unit area. I have charge per unit area for that particular portion, so I'll call it sigma, that is charge per unit area. Great. So let's say you have to understand here area of your S3 surface. You guys have to understand area of your S3 surface and area of your S1 surface, and obviously this shaded region, right? All three areas are actually same, right? Let me call this S4, right? Area is equals to area of S4, and let me call this as some common area as S. So all these three part have S area. I hope you guys can understand. Great. So obviously how will I do it? Okay, great. Let me just take a small point for in your S1 surface. So area vector is anyway going out, electric field will be always going out, right? For your S2 surface I can take a small small dA vector, so obviously your area vector will be going out, but electric field is going in that direction, so obviously I'm making an angle of 90 degree, right? Okay, what about my third surface? Area vector will be always going perpendicularly, but there is no electric field inside, right? So that is anyway going to 0, right? So I can expand this into three terms. That is, for S1 I can write E dA, right? I can actually write for S1 E dA, right? S1 is which one? S1 is, I'm talking about the first surface, so E dA cos of 0, because dA and electric field has the same same direction, so obviously the theta will be 0, plus integration for your S2 surface. For your S2 surface I can write E dA just cos 90, because obviously area vector is going up, right, and electric field is going in that direction. I hope you guys can understand that, right? Plus electric field plus integration for your third surface, that is S3, right? E dA. Now you have to understand this term will automatically go to 0 because there is no electric field in your S3 region, right? And that is equals to the net charge, right? Now how much charge is there? You have to understand the charge is, I can actually write sigma times of the area of that particular place, right? Area of this particular place is S, so I can write sigma times of S, some surface, right? So like I said, area of S4, area of S1, area of S3 all have the same surface area, that is your S, right? So sigma times of S, right? Sigma is the charge per unit area multiplied by that much area will give me the net charge that is enclosed inside my Gaussian surface, right? Divided by epsilon naught. I hope you guys can understand that, right? So cos 90 is 0. This term will also go to 0. So you'll be left with integration over S1 E dA, and that is equal to sigma times of S upon epsilon naught. Your electric field will come out because it's constant. Electric field will come out, and this will be multiplied by area of your S1 over your S1 surface. So area of S1 surface is actually equal to your S, like I said at the starting of the exercise. So E multiplied by S is actually equal to sigma times of S divided by epsilon naught. S and S will cancel out, so you will get your electric field to be sigma upon epsilon naught, and obviously electric field is normally out, right? So I can write it normal to the surface, right? So the value of electric field comes out to be sigma upon epsilon naught at a point P, which is like very very close to the surface. I hope you guys can understand. So electric field at the surface of a charged conductor is simply given as sigma upon epsilon naught normal to the surface at every places, right? I hope you guys can understand that. Is that a yes or no? Great. Let's move on to the last property, that is your electrostatic shielding, right? Now look at this figure, right? So whenever there is a condition for lightning, right, it is always advised that you should always get inside the car, right? You never get out of the car, right? The moment you are out of the car, you will be hit with the lightning, right? There's a good chance that you will be hit with the lightning. But if you are inside the car, lightning cannot do anything, right? Now why that is happening? This property is what we call as your electrostatic shielding. This property is what we call as our electrostatic shielding. Now what do we mean by electrostatic shielding? Let me try to understand, right? Let me try to make you guys understand. Let's say I have this conductor here, and let's say this conductor has a cavity inside. So whenever I talk about cavity, you have to understand the cavity means it has a hollow part inside. I hope you guys can understand. Cavity means it has a hollow part inside, right? So if it has whenever a conductor is having a hollow part, a cavity inside, this cavity is unaffected by whatever exterior that is happening, right? For example, with the cavity there, if I try to charge my conductor, then that charge is never going to be inside, right? It will never go inside of my inside to the cavity part, right? Obviously, because electric field at this particular portion is actually 0, right? So it is not going to go inside. And one more important thing, let's say you provide it with some external field, right? So whatever happens, it is going to be happening at the outside, right? It will never go inside, right? I hope you guys understand. So this property is what we call as our electrostatic shielding. Now for example, if let's say if I am living in this particular room, right, and let's say this room is actually made up of metal, the walls are actually made up of metal, right, and if a lightning strikes, right, if I'm inside this metal, right, so basically this inside part of the this room, or let's say this metal room, inside there is a cavity. Is that a yes or no? So inside the room, right, the electrostatic, whatever electric thing that is going outside, it will not affect me, right? It is always safe inside. So that's why basically your car is actually kind of made up of, you guys can see most of the part is actually made up of metal, right? So you are sitting inside, so the metal and inside is actually kind of a cavity, right? So you are kind of safe inside, right? I hope you guys can understand, right? So basically, if you have a conductor and inside the conductor there is a cavity, then that the cavity is unaffected by whatever electrical things that is happening at the surface, right? All the things, for example, if you charge it, all the charge is going to be at the surface, right? If you provide it with the electric field, all the processes are going to be at the surface. Nothing will be affected inside the cavity. I hope you guys can understand that, right? Is that a yes or no? Great. So let's look at this figure. So this figure will help you to revise whatever we have studied till now. So the first figure you guys can see, so inside a conductor, electric field is 0, or the charge density, or I can say rho, right? Charge density is actually equals, there will be no charge, right? So electric field is 0, charge density is 0. I hope you guys can understand. Next, you have to understand that obviously electric field lines from your from your charge conductor will always go perpendicularly. In the electrostatic case, obviously they will always go perpendicularly out, or if it is negative, they will always come perpendicularly in, right? I hope you guys can understand. The value of electric field because of a charge conductor is given as sigma upon epsilon naught, and obviously it is going to be normal, right? Okay, potential, if you have a conductor, then the potential at inside and at the surface will be same, right? That is the property we have studied. And obviously if you have if you have a cavity, right, and obviously you have a conductor, inside the conductor if you have a cavity, then electric field is 0, and obviously charge density is again going to be 0. I hope you guys can understand that, right? I hope this is clear to everyone. If you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section, and I hope you understood the video, right? Thank you. Have a nice day.